only other thing I have for you is that you had no public comment. No call-ins.
Tim's mic is off.
We got some emails today from Tim. He forwarded them.
Yeah, I don't know if we should read those out loud.
Yes, I did get them. I did forward them on. I don't know, Dave, do we need to read them?
You know, I think was it just the one, Tim? I would go ahead.
No, there were two of them, one from Frank Holbrook and one from Paper Trail Books.
Yeah, I would go ahead and just read them make them part of the record. That way, if there's anybody else that's watching, they'll be able to hear from themselves what the comment was.
Well, the one from Paper Trail Books says, I understand there will be some discussion about business assistance at the DDA meeting today. Obviously, I'm all for that. It's tough for us right now, being closed for business, yet still owing rent. Any help at all, no matter the amount, would be appreciated. Hopefully soon, this closure is over and we can all get back to normal. Thanks, David Brown. Let me find the other one. Well, it was addressed to Sean. It says, hello, Sean. At today's meeting, there are two agenda items regarding financial support from the DDA. The first item is payment of the two carnival events slated to occur in 6 to 8 weeks. We should take a lesson from the cancellation of the auto show, the Grand Prix, Tiger Baseball, and now the Royal Oak Memorial Day Parade. We have no certainty the region will be in a position to condone an outside activity with any specific attendance in 6 to 8 weeks. The events might be disallowed by the governor. We need to back away from the two carnivals this year. The second agenda item is the proposal to establish a business relief fund to keep us alive. Our building at 408 South Washington will contribute approximately $60,000 in property taxes this year. If the DDA has the ability to return and distribute some of those funds to our business and neighbors to bridge them from the other side of COVID-19 shutdown, then I would support your effort to establish this program. We need to give preference in our financial support to brick and mortar businesses that are a great financial risk and create this wonderful downtown Royal Oak. Frank Holbrook, 408 South Washington. Those are the only two I have.
Tim?
Yeah.
So I'm having difficulty. I got kicked off here a little bit and I'm only getting audio and no visual at all.
I'm not sure what to do to help you see people.
It's not giving me any options really to do anything here.
Mike, there.
Yes. I see you up in the corner
on the bottom of your screen, you'll see, whatever you use to get into it, and then you'll see a camera.
Right.
Icon. Click on the icon.
Mike, have you got the participants open?
I'm not sure where that is.
If down at the bottom of the Zoom thing, if you go down there should be an icon that says participants. If you click on participants, it should show you everybody that's in the meeting.
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me. I do see what Jenny's talking about, but I'm clicking on it and nothing's happening.
So do you see a black screen?
No, I have a white screen that says Zoom. Big Zoom straight across it.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So so then you're in, but you should have another icon on the bottom of your, if you close that out with the minus up at the top.
Okay.
Your Zoom meeting should show up.
That didn't happen.
Here, let me share. I hate to do this, but here, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I can't share. I don't know if the commission room
Be able
would
to.
like to share the screen to show him what he needs to do.
Mike, can you see it?
In your browser. It's not gonna be in your browser, it's gonna be a completely different window.
Yeah, all I'm getting is, one of you, in the upper right-hand corner here.
There should be a
So
grid
Mike,
icon.
take your mouse up to the corner. I think you might have it on,
Speaker.
you might have it on gallery view or just one. If you click up at the top of the black box, you should see where it says speaker view or gallery view. I think if you put it on speaker view, you might see everybody.
Mute.
It's a little grid.
This is in the top right-hand corner.
Okay, I think I got it now.
Got it?
Got it now.
Okay, and then the manage participants, if you hover your mouse along the bottom,
Got it?
the taskbar will pop up and you'll see the manage participants. And if you click on that, a list of participants will appear on the right-hand side of your screen with everybody's name, and then you'll see their microphone
Got it.
and their video icons.
Got it.
As the co-host, you have the ability to mute people who aren't talking and unmute people.
Gotcha.
You can have them physically raise their hands so that you can see them in the screen, or there is a way for them to raise their hands virtually.
Okay,
Okay?
gotcha. Are we ready to go, Tim?
He's muted.
Yeah,
Yes, we are.
okay. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and call to order the, April 15th, 2020 meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority. This is a remote meeting. We've gone through, the public comments that we've received. So I'm gonna move on to item number 3, approval of the meeting minutes from February 19th, 2020. Does anybody have any comments or questions regarding that? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion. Matt?
I'll support.
Okay. No other questions, comments? Okay,
Who supported it?
Gillum did.
Thank you.
thank you. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Okay, I'm gonna get this here. Okay, gotcha, and gotcha, okay. Okay, so the way I'm gonna do this is, I'm gonna make sure that when we start to discuss an item on the agenda here, before we even move on to the next agenda, I'm gonna ask anybody if they have any further comments. So everybody's gonna have an opportunity to weigh in if they so choose to. So, if we don't get to you right away, we will get to you. It's just a matter of procedurally going through this. So I will make sure that I check with everybody before I move on to another item. Okay, item number 4 is expense items. And I'll go to A first, the monthly expenses. This is just informational purposes. If anybody has any questions, yes, Matt.
Yeah, real quick, and Tim, I'm gonna direct this to you, the 50,000 arts, beats and eats, with the climate and the way things are going, who knows if that's gonna happen? Do we know if these events don't happen, whether it's arts, beats and eats, rock and rides, et cetera, Metro Times blowout, is all of that refundable if the events don't happen?
I'd have to go back and look at the Arts, Beats and Eats contract. That one was actually paid. It was due prior to payment and it has a specific date of payment in the agreement. The ones for Rock and Ride and the Metro Times invoice simply indicate that the payment is to be done prior to the event. So I've held on to those.
Okay.
If the event isn't going to happen, it gets canceled, it's my intent not to pay those.
Okay. Dave, as far as the Art Beats and Eats go, do you know, off the top of your head, is there a force majeure clause in there or anything like that?
There is a force majeure clause, yes, there is.
Okay,
Oh.
would this fall under that category?
I think that would obviously be our position, yes.
Okay,
So, but that, the payment of the sponsorship fee, even though it was being made now that it was, contingent upon there actually being an event, so.
okay. And then, Tim, my next question, the Fusco, Schaffer and Pappas, the architectural services, 22.5.
Yep.
Is that on the commercial space in the garage?
Yes, that's the final, that's the balance of their architectural service payment. Our next step is to send those documents out for bid, get a construction bid back and bring that both through the City Commission and the DDA to get approval of actual construction, but obviously everything's stopped right now, so.
Got it. Okay.
That's the last payment to them in terms of their architectural work. Their plans were submitted to the building office. They were approved, so we know that they're good for it being issued a building permit as well, so.
Okay, all right, excellent. I'm good.
Okay. We're gonna go to, item 4B, Rock and Rise and Metro Times invoices. Jenny, you had some questions on this one, didn't you? Or did they get answered for you?
No, my questions, with regards to this are, again, these are sponsorships that, we agreed to prior to the COVID crisis. And, I'm given light of things not probably returning to normal in June. Do we move forward with this? Those are my questions.
Sean, can you jump in here?
Yeah, I've been speaking with the Metro Times organizers for the Royal Oak Blowout event, and they're actually seeking a new date. They're working with Sergeant Steve Tycho at the police department now to try to secure the date of the first weekend in October as their rescheduled date. And they've been informed that their special event permit will have to go back to the city commission and will likely, obviously go back to the DDA board for consideration.
So Sean, with that, does that mean we have to pay this cost now, or can we wait on this?
No, as indicated in the current agreement says it will occur prior to the event. It doesn't give a specific date. And it also is contingent upon a special event permit being issued. So the two windows are a special event permit being issued and so after that's approved by the city commission, there's a window before the event that the agreement calls for it to be paid. Obviously that's going to back up. So right now the answer would be no. I just wanted to make sure, and that's why I said I was looking for direction. If these events were still going to be tried to be done in June, whether you wanted me to pay those or not, because it's my intent not to pay them.
Okay. I had a question, but that actually your comments just answered it for me. So does anybody else want to address anything regarding item 4A or B? It sounds like, go ahead, Mr. Gill.
Thanks. Just a general remark, what I'm hearing from the police department is that what's going on with the Metro Times event is going on with a lot of other events. Everybody is going to be looking to be able to push their events back on the calendar this year. And at some point in time, the police department and the city are going to have to start telling some people no, because we can't have a summer's worth of events all in 1 or 2 months. So we'll be playing that by ear, but that's just to kind of give everybody a heads up.
Matt.
Yeah, Dave, and I totally understand that. At the same time, I think, I'm not gonna speak on behalf of the Business Marketing Committee, but I'll speak for myself. But the Business Marketing Committee, one of the things we had discussed was that when things get up and running, that because all the retailers and bars and restaurants and everybody has taken such a significant hit, that and look, we're not looking to put anybody's safety in jeopardy, but we're hoping that the police department and everybody will work with us in order to you know, have some events that we can get people into downtown whenever the time allows it. I'm not saying that you know, we're looking to have, you know, the streets closed down every weekend by any stretch, but maybe just a little bit more you know, just a little bit more understanding and maybe flexibility on their end.
And I don't think that'll be an issue, Matt. I guess my point is if everybody and their mother wants to have their special event the first weekend in October, it just ain't gonna happen.
I understand. I totally understand. We're on the same page. All right.
Okay. Yeah, Lori.
Well, I don't think the Rock and Rides is a stellar event. It drew very few people last year. There was no lines for the rides. It's not like an event we have to have. We could save the money and give that money to the restaurants and hair salons and retailers that are fighting for survival. To me, that's more important than a silly little carnival that drew very few people last year.
Okay. Tim, can I just ask, then, do you need any official action on this item at this point?
No, it's informational. Again, the way the agreement is drafted, I think I'm comfortable with simply not paying it.
Okay.
It is my knowledge that they are asking to move the event. In the agreements, both of them say that it would occur between the special event permit and the actual date the event occurs. There's no specific date. So sitting on it, I don't see any problem with it.
Okay, that sounds reasonable to me. We'll wait for them to have to go through the process again. It may or may not happen. We don't know. Like we don't know a lot of things that are going on right now. So let's just sit on it and see what happens as we move forward here. Anybody else want to address anything on item number 4? Okay, good. Move on to item number 5, Siren PR retainer. I don't know, Tim, or if you or Sean want to start with this one.
I'll just start real briefly. This was on the agenda in March. It's basically the agreement revised slightly to acknowledge that the start date of the contract would move back. So I highlighted April 15th as the start date of the contract rather than April 1st. And there's one point later in the agreement that still refers to April 1st, but that should also get moved back to April 15th. Other than that, I'll let Sean make comment on what it contains and what the focus is.
All right, start us out, Sean, and then we'll see if we have some questions here.
Sure. Okay. All right, so recently Siren PR was hired to do an 8-week communications assessment for the Downtown Development Authority. They've since completed that. Their presentation for that is on the agenda for tonight. What's before you, this agenda item is actually the next part, which would be bringing Siren on as to do general PR services for us on a retainer on a monthly basis. You know, included in their contract. You know, let's see if we go down to the scope of work here. So they will assist us with our social media strategy and our scheduling. A lot of their actions and their scope of work will be building off of that assessment that was done earlier this year. They will provide media training for staff. They will also handle media relations for us as well. You know, it really just brings them on a retainer basis to perform monthly PR services in the amount of $6,600 a month.
Okay. I see Matt's hand up. Matt?
Yeah, I just want to add something. In the past 3 weeks, I'm going to compliment Lindsay and Molly and Kristen from Siren. They've been by our side, and they've been integral in the discussions that we've had. And they will be, if we get approval today on item 7, they'll have their hands full, they and Sean, and they are going to be doing stuff that, you know, and Lindsay, Lindsay, I think I'll agree with this. We're probably going to be a little bit outside of the scope of this in some instances. We're going to be asking them to do a lot in design and development of some of the programs that we're trying to implement, not just the promotion and PR of it. So, for lack of a better term, because we don't have a advertising wing, and because Sean's a one-man show, we need all hands on deck on this, and Siren has graciously agreed to pretty much quarterback a lot of this for us. So,
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
Jason.
So is this for the year, the balance of the year? What's the term? I'm just trying to look in here. Is this for the balance of the year? How long is the 6,600 due for?
Lindsay, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I can answer that. Hi, Jason. The contract is on a 60-day rolling basis.
Okay.
So it's cancelable with 60 days notice at any time.
Thank you.
Okay. Does that go for the fee as well? So if after like 120 days, you can then say we're changing it to 7,200 or something like that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I mean, and also we're flexible too. So if there are things that need to be done outside of scope, that can be done in addition to this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take care of that as needed.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, is there any other comments? I apologize to everybody. I do not have the attachments in front of me, and I don't want to mess around touching my computer here. So is there a resolution on the table here?
I'll move the resolution.
Okay. I got a motion by Director Krieger, second by Director Riley. Does anybody want to, questions? Any other questions for Tim, Sean, Lindsay? Okay. If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Very good. Item number 6, Siren PR, proposed strategic communication plan. Lindsay, you want to start us out with this?
Yes, I'm happy to. First of all, thank you, everyone. We are really thrilled to become your ongoing public relations and communications partner. So thank you. Thank you for inviting us to start earlier this year with a communications strategy project. And thank you for approving us just now to be your partner ongoing. It has been an honor to serve you so far, especially during this crazy time that we're all experiencing right now. This item on the agenda is to present to you the outcome of the project that we went through that Sean mentioned. That assessment, the audit, and the development of a strategic communication plan that will serve as the foundation for the work that we perform as your ongoing public relations partner. I don't think I have the ability to share my screen. Do I have that technical ability? I don't think so because I'm not a moderator. But you all received the strategic communication plan, correct, as an attachment?
Yes.
Yes, it's in there. It should be in everybody's attachment.
Okay, great. So I will go through it then. And the first thing that I want to do is address the question of why communication strategy, just to remind everybody what this was about to begin with. Back in January, which still holds true today, the purpose of this project was to define a clear brand narrative for downtown Royal Oak and position downtown Royal Oak powerfully to the audiences that matter the most. So we developed this strategy that will help us promote downtown Royal Oak now and into the future. The plan that you have in front of you is foundational. It includes the brand narrative, which involves messaging around why downtown Royal Oak the strengths that downtown Royal Oak has, the audiences that you all are trying to target, and then also includes strategies to connect to those audiences. Any event or campaign that is launched will align with this and pull from this plan for messaging. The plan is designed to be a constant. It's revisited every 6 to 12 months. While the environment around downtown Royal Oak changes, like we are all experiencing right now, a lot of the messaging that you see in here will hold steady because it really embodies the essence and the core of downtown Royal Oak and what matters to the people that you're trying to connect with the most. The process that we underwent to get to this outcome, we performed an audit of communication channels to see what was working in the past and what wasn't. We also assessed against Birmingham and Ferndale to see what those downtown cores are doing, kind of compared to what Royal Oak has been doing. We had 2 discovery sessions, one with board members and one with business owners. The business owners one was, well, they were both interesting and fun, and thank you to everyone who participated in that. The business owners one was very educational. Sean attended both, and we learned a lot in those sessions. The first goal there being listening and absorbing everyone's priorities and what matters and what people really need out of communication and marketing from downtown Royal Oak. We then defined your important audiences, crafted brand narrative messaging, and created this plan. That was the process, and the plan is built, you can see in the early slides, the peso model. That means paid, earned, shared, and owned media. So essentially all of your media channels are included in here, and they're all tied together so that they work in the same direction. Right off the bat, does anybody have any questions about the why behind this or the structure of what I'm about to present to you?
No, looks good across the board here, so continue, please.
And at any time, you guys can just cut me off if you have a question, but I'll also try to keep an eye if anyone raises their hand. So the first thing that I want to point out are the audiences. So I'm not going to go directly in order of the plan because the audiences are a really good place to start. So before we know what we're going to say, we have to know who we're speaking to. So we prioritize based on our discovery sessions with the board and business owners who the most important audiences to connect with are for downtown Royal Oak. There are 4 profiles included here. This is not to say these are all of the audiences that matter. There's little asterisks up in the corner that notes that we also considered baby boomers and retirees, but they didn't make it into the top 4 right now. That doesn't mean that they won't later. We heard from business owners and board members that the 4 most important audiences to create strong relationships with and to market toward are single 20-somethings who spend their time enjoying downtown Royal Oak, who live downtown and have a good time there on the weekends. They likely work in downtown Royal Oak as well and like to go from work to the evening seamlessly. That's one audience. Another audience is who we are calling Joe and Kelly, a young family. They have kids. They take their children with them when they go to the breweries in Royal Oak, and they love to experience everything that downtown Royal Oak has to offer as far as entertainment goes with their children often. They also come without them, but they want to feel welcome and know that there are options for entertainment where they don't have to always get a babysitter. We built these profiles with specific people in mind because it helps us personify who we're communicating with. Joe and Kelly are actual people. Kelly is the business manager on Siren's team. She and her husband live in downtown Royal Oak, and they have 2 kids, and this persona fits them perfectly and all of their friends. So that was kind of a fun tie-in. Then as far as the business personas go, we have current business owners, and we're calling that business owner Sam. He's been in downtown Royal Oak for a long time, and out of the DDA, he needs support and action. He needs to see engagement. He wants to feel included, and he needs to know that downtown is doing everything it can to support him in his business. And we also have Sarah. She's a potential business owner. She is savvy. She knows her stuff. She's in the know on marketing and business strategy, and this is not her first rodeo. She's considering downtown Royal Oak for her second or third location, and she's looking to the DDA for like market data on demographics in Royal Oak and what kind of consumer behavior is happening in downtown Royal Oak and how that fits with her business model. These two personas came very loud and clear out of the business owner discovery session. We heard things like how other downtown areas are presenting potential business owners with marketing material around demographic information, and that tied into the Sarah persona, where we really want to make sure that we're communicating to her about what opportunities exist in downtown Royal Oak. So these are the 4 personas that we have outlined, and again, that's not to say they're the only people that we will target, but for now they're the priority. So with that in mind, we think about what these 4 audience personas need from downtown Royal Oak, and then we think about what downtown Royal Oak is strong at, and like what the core and the essence of your city are. And with those factors combined, we arrive at the value proposition and the brand narrative statement. So I won't read through everything here, but I'll just give you a top line overview. We heard loud and clear in all of our research and conversations that meaningful experiences and entertainment were core components to downtown Royal Oak. So the value proposition being what makes you most attractive to the people, those audience personas that matter to you most. We crafted the value proposition to read that downtown Royal Oak is a vibrant community where residents and visitors come together for entertaining and meaningful experiences. And that is the basis of kind of everything else. I'm happy to hear feedback from you guys. This has already, so been presented to the Business Marketing Committee, Sean and Tim. And Dave Gillum also had the chance to take a look at it since he was in the discovery session with us. So feel free to provide any feedback now or later. We're happy to hear it. When we look at the brand narrative statement, you can see the bolded statements are kind of the core, like the highlighted themes that are really important to stand out and connect with your audiences. What makes Royal Oak really attractive? It's vibrant, it's walkable, it's centrally located in Metro Detroit. Everyone is welcome here. And there's been this boom of young families over the last decade or so that have really started thriving in downtown Royal Oak, and we notice, that breweries have tables full of babies and, 38-year-olds with beards and whatever. It's like, it's a really welcoming and warm community-based environment. In addition to that, really fun nightlife that it's always been known for. So take a look at kind of offline on your own and make sure and, let me know if there's anything that you feel like isn't really hitting home here, but the core of the brand narrative statement is around the experiences in Royal Oak. Even when it comes to things like retail, we heard that, the experience of shopping at these places is more than just what you're buying. It's that you can have tea at Rail and Anchor while you shop, or, the atmosphere in the stores as well. Bringing people together for entertaining and meaningful experiences. And then you can see how in the plan we have messages targeted at each of the audiences. And that's in line with the brand narrative statement, but it's specifically validating that we understand each of these audiences and their life situations, and we tell them why Royal Oak is a good place for them. Does anybody have any questions so far related to the messaging? Yes.
So I do.
Yeah, Jenny.
Yep. So thanks. This is, I perused this last night and I looked at it again this morning. Really like the whole plan. The personas are really well thought out. One thing that I didn't think was, maybe it's not a target of ours through this process, but business development.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So I appreciate that we're gonna be doing a lot of this, promoting of downtown and getting folks to come downtown, but, I think part of our mission here with the DDA is also to attract new businesses into our downtown areas. So I didn't see any of that development out of this communication plan.
So thank you for that question, Jenny. Business development, which is for a for-profit company, that would be the sales department. Sales and marketing and communication, they go hand in hand. They're definitely different and separate, but they need to work with each other. So this plan supports the ability to be able to attract more businesses. It is not designed to be the thing that closes relationships to bring new businesses here.
Oh, totally agree. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just stating that some of the campaigning around it or the messaging around it, I feel doesn't hold as much of a B2B flavor or bring in that opportunity for maybe someone who might be thinking about opening a business in our area, to think about Royal Oak as that destination for that. Like, that's, I guess, my point of it. It's not about being the final salesperson, but to showcase maybe we're easy to work with or things like that. Ease of business, or we have the people that come into our downtown that they're attracted to.
Thank you for that clarification. So this is not to say that this is all of the messaging that will ever be created. One thing that we noted in the Sarah persona, she's the potential business owner, someone who's considering downtown Royal Oak. And we can see later in the plan when we get down to the owned channels, we have print resources as a strategy. This could also be digital, but it's around market data in Royal Oak. We heard from the business owners that in order to consider coming to Royal Oak, they need to have more data available around consumer behavior and demographics in downtown Royal Oak. So this is going to be a strategy that will be implemented hopefully in the near future, where there is some sort of an effort put together around packaging that material into like a pitch deck or a digital resource that can be provided to help sell businesses on choosing downtown Royal Oak. And I imagine when that happens, there will need to be some additional messaging created that addresses the specific priorities of potential business owners and what exactly they're looking for in those situations. So this is more about downtown Royal Oak as a whole, and I anticipate offshoots to happen for specific situations like that.
Thank you for the clarification. I like the pitch deck idea.
You're welcome. Yes,
Lori.
Yeah, so when I went over all your personas, to me, it's really driven for the evening entertainment crowd. It really ignores entirely the day traffic problem.
The day traffic problem? Tell me more about that.
Well, there's no traffic in the day.
You mean foot traffic?
Excuse me?
Foot traffic?
Yes.
Yes.
Car traffic doesn't really help anyone in downtown Brooklyn. So if you're a spa, hair salon owner, or retailer, focusing on your main message at entertainment, it says, we only thrive when we throw a party. Really, I think that's a bad business model for the restaurants to survive on, for the retailers to survive on. You can't survive as a city if your only purpose is to be a backdrop for entertainment. So yeah, it may give a boost to that restaurant bar that one day, but you can't constantly do the same thing. It's like you keep throwing the same event. They keep doing the same bar crawl. Really, you need things that are more intrinsically special for the city. And I just think evening entertainment focus is just a one-trick pony. You just can't keep doing that, pulling that same thing.
Got it. Thank you, Lori. Gary, if you could, I'd like to respond to that, and then I'll come to you if that's okay.
Okay, I have a piggyback on what Lori said.
So this isn't intended to just be evening entertainment. We drafted the language so that it reads meaningful and entertaining experiences. And we recognize with Brittany, for example, the 20-something, she likely works in downtown Royal Oak too. And the meaningful experiences don't need to just happen during the evening, I should say. They happen during her workday and in collaborating with other businesses in downtown Royal Oak, and then kind of moving from daytime into evening. And so there is space in this plan to highlight meaningful experiences that are outside of the evening. It's not intended to be restricted to that.
Gary?
I read it exactly the way you just described it, that art could be a meaningful experience in downtown Royal Oak. Visiting the farmer's market in the afternoon is a meaningful experience. I read it exactly the way you described it. Hopefully we can find more daytime.
Yeah, and I'll note that. That's really good feedback to make sure that we give morning and daytime, like sunlight experiences, some real estate as well.
A lot of the art around town, different things like that. That's the way I read it.
Thank you.
Matt?
Yeah, and I would just add on to that, I do agree with Director London that, you know, the daytime traffic isn't what we'd want it to be, and that's why we, the DDA and the city, we've done a lot of the things that we've done in terms of cultivating development and office buildings, et cetera, to bring daytime traffic. And, you know, I wish we could just flip a switch and make it happen, but I think it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. In other words, do we want to start, you know, like for example, I would love to have, you know, daytime events during the summer, during the week, that are office participants, you know, where you get people out in the streets, and you get people to shop, and you can cultivate sidewalk sales. And I think we're heading in that direction with both the development of offices. We've got Bamboo coming to town, you know, which is going to bring a lot of young entrepreneurs our way. The Henry Ford project, once that's done, right, wrong, or indifferent, you're going to have people flowing in and out of the city on a constant basis. And when we get the city park done and everything done with the city center project, you know, we're heading in that direction. So I think there's definitely a good future as far as that.
Very good. I think all very, very good comments from everybody. And I think, Lindsay, you'll agree that that's important information.
Oh, totally.
That we need to move forward, and an area that, you know, maybe needs a little bit of extra focus as we go through this program.
For sure. Thank you.
Yeah, Lori, go ahead.
This is not about this conversation, but what Matt said made me think. Is the construction still going forward on the Henry Ford building?
Currently?
Yes.
No, they're stopped.
Because they were allowed to, in the governor's order, they said healthcare buildings could be built. That's why I was curious.
I do know that they were going for a while, because Jay Dunstan brought it to my attention that maybe Dave has some knowledge, or Tim has some knowledge as to whether they're working or not. I know they were for a while, but I haven't seen much action lately.
Yeah, no, they are not working right now.
They're not working right now.
Yeah, no, they're following the shutdown order.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was an exception for healthcare buildings.
Maybe, and for
You
whatever
still
reason.
have to get the union workers to show up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, Lindsay, do you have some more here, or should we?
Yeah, you know what, just briefly, I'll just touch on kind of the structure of the rest of the plans, so that you guys are clear when you're looking at it, what all is included, or
Okay.
what all is included. As far as the communication goals, these are our goals for the next 3 to 6 months. Once we achieve this, then we'll look at the next ones. Developing and enhancing relationships with both business owners and media contacts, really foundational to being able to achieve positive results with both of those. So establishing good relationships is a big priority, and we are already on our way to doing that, specifically with the media, and business owners. Really, the process of creating this project, or this plan, I should say, already started relationships between my firm and business owners, and I think Sean would agree, kind of help deepen his and give him, you know, a different perspective. And then generating positive stories about downtown Royal Oak, major goal. We want to move the balance of stories more to the positive side. And we'll do that by pushing out positive stories and also mitigating the negative ones. And then building brand awareness and loyalty for downtown Royal Oak as a vibrant community where you can have meaningful experiences. And we will get through this pandemic, and we're already working with the business marketing committee on some ideas as to how to emerge strongly from that. But a campaign around reemergence from this would kind of fall into the goal number 3 around building awareness for downtown Royal Oak as a vibrant community. From there, the rest of the plan indicates specific strategies across specific channels and timing for activating them. That's getting into the weeds a little bit more. The second half of the plan is really for my team and Sean and anybody that's interested in exactly the how of this is all going to roll out. So if anybody has any questions about that, I'm happy to answer. But it's around paid, earned, shared, and owned channels. And then, Siren is specifically plugging into on the peso activation key slide, the blue boxes. You can see kind of that's what our contract that was just approved is going to cover, in addition to anything else that comes up. Yes, Jenny.
Oh, no, just a comment to Mike. I'd like to see Siren's work also come into the consumer marketing committee as well.
Yeah, it should, and it will. I think what we'll do is, Sean will come up with a plan to work with Lindsay, in terms of, what they feel, we could use as a, periodic, update as to work that's in progress and work that's been completed and what direction we're starting to go into. Whether it be, you being involved in our meetings or to bring us updates, or even written communications to Sean that he could pass along to the entire board, for updates as we're going through this, because we all know that these next 2 to 3 months are going to be very hectic and everything else. And I think it's important that all the board members be on board, or be aware of what you're doing and what, Sean's doing and everything else. Maybe it could be in Sean's reports. I don't know. But I think between you two, we should come up with a system that we can update board members on a regular basis.
Well, and also your priorities, Jenny. Yes, I would love to, be aware of what your priorities are on that committee and how we can help support them.
Good. Okay.
That's it from my end. Thank
Okay,
you all.
that's great. I really appreciate it, Lindsay. A lot of good information. Before we move on, I just wanted to mention, there's 2 things about this, and it's very general, that I love about what we're doing with this right now. I really like the idea of developing this relationships with our business community. I think that's a very, very important thing, and I think it's something that's lacked, back in the day. And so I think we need to move that. They need to know that there is an ear out there for them to be able to voice their concerns with, or bring their ideas to in some way, shape, or form. So that portion of it, I really, really like. And then secondary, very general. I think what we're doing in this messaging is going to spill over, and it's not only going to be for the downtown. I think this is going to spill over citywide. The press releases that are going out, people are seeing those, and those aren't just for our downtown community, it's for our entire community. And I think at this time, with the way things are going, we need to be doing more stuff involving the entire community and letting them know what's happening and what's going on in the downtown area. So I think this messaging will reach out to them. And as we move forward, I think we'll see some, a little bit more maybe participation from that. So those are 2 things that are really, really good. So that being said, Tim, there's just a presentation. There's no action on this, correct?
Well,
Or accepting the report, or?
Well, if you're comfortable with it, this is the conclusion of their prior contract. You can either accept it, today is a conclusion to that, Or if you're comfortable enough with it, you could make a motion to actually approve it. And that way it's on record and Sean and Lindsay can move forward knowing that you're happy with this plan. So it's really up to you whether you're ready to approve it today or simply accept it.
Okay, so what is the wishes of the board?
Well, I was gonna say, I'll make the motion to accept it. I think it's a great plan. I think, as we said, there are a few things that I
Need to be
think can
tweaked,
just be added or weaved into.
Okay. I have a motion by Director Rossman.
Second.
Second by Director Krieger.
Just for clarification, this is an acceptance, not a flat out approval, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussion regarding the motion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, was anybody opposed? Okay. Motion passes then. Okay, thank you, Lindsay. I don't know if you want to hang around or cut out here or.
I'm gonna hang around because we have probably a press release going on
that's
after
true.
this meeting, so yep, I'm here.
All right, thank you.
Hang around, please, Lindsay.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Okay, item number 8, holiday lights, 2020-21.
We're on 7. We're on 7, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, that was a big one. I'm sorry. Item number 7, Downtown Royal Oak Relief and Recovery Program.
I'm gonna turn this over to Sean and he can kind of give you the synopsis of what the Business Marketing Committee has talked about and what we've talked about, but I'll let Sean walk through the ideas. And then I do have a couple of things to add at the end.
Okay.
I'm just going to do a very brief introduction to this, and I'm actually going to defer to the chair of the Business Marketing Committee because I know he's prepared a lot of remarks regarding this particular resolution. But essentially, the gist of this is that the Business Marketing Committee has been working very hard over numerous meetings to generate a concept for a relief and recovery program for downtown because of the ongoing emergency right now. And right now they are looking at a recommendation that the DDA allocate a total of $2 million to fund the program. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to the chair of the Business Marketing Committee, Director Riley.
Thanks, Sean. All right, guys, reason that we pushed so hard for this meeting and wanted it as early as possible is wanted to bring you guys up to speed on everything that we've been doing for the last 3 weeks. Like Sean said, we've met, we started March 24th, and we probably, every day we've either had a virtual meeting or a conference call between some segment of the committee and Sean and Siren. And again, we want to bring you guys up to speed on this before we get any further. Both to get your input and just to let you know what we've been doing and to give you some ideas of what we're doing and where we're going from here. Obviously, it's both integral and crucial to the process. Obviously, just not to go through the whole history, but the government shutdown order went into effect March 24th. Before that, the bars and restaurants were already at 50% capacity. For our neighborhood, the timing of this couldn't be worse. Whether we like it or not, the bars lost, and these are big events for them, and they're very important to their revenue. But they lost the St. Patrick's Day pub crawl, they lost St. Patrick's Day, they've lost the NCAA tournament. The bars, retail, everybody lost the wine stroll. Cinco de Mayo is probably gone. Part of patio season is gone. And again, this affects everybody. It just doesn't affect the bars and restaurants. I mean, if they're on 50% capacity, then not as much people are coming into town that can go shop and get their hair done as well. Also, obviously, they're going to lose out on big events. Obviously, we got a crisis. Who doesn't in this country, right? The bottom line is our independent bars, restaurants, retail shops, salons, and entertainment venues have long been a huge part of the fabric of downtown Royal Oak. And in our opinion, and I think it's hard to argue, the vibrancy of the community that we've created has led to a lot of the success of our downtown and a lot of the success of our DDA. I don't think that we have the commercial and residential development that we've had recently with Etkin and Hyatt, and Henry Ford and Sing and Bamboo, if we didn't have these components and the vibrancy that we have in our downtown. What makes the downtown, and this is very important because this goes into our thinking for everything that we've done. It's the variety of places that we have. It's not any one or two, nor is it any one particular sector. We've decided that we've got to use every tool we have in our toolbox to prop our businesses up and help them, each individual business in our community as a whole, thrive again. Throughout all of this, one thing that we want to strive for is compassion and unity. I know it sounds trite, but we all got to be in the same, you guys heard me say in the past about being in different sandboxes. We got to get in the sandbox. We got to bring our shovels. We got to bring our pails, and we got to all start digging together. No infighting, no nothing like that. I envision, you know, maybe this is Pollyannish, but I envision where everybody's helping each other out, promoting for each other. You know, if somebody's got a sidewalk sale going, the bars and restaurants are helping to promote that. And if the bars and restaurants have an event going, the retail places and the salons are helping to promote that. We feel that we as a DDA have to be prepared to do whatever it takes within reason to keep every single business open through this horrific crisis that we can. Let's face it, this is nothing remotely close to anything we or the downtown has ever seen. I mean, there is no precedent. There is no footprint for this. This is something that is different and it's ever changing. Now, one of the things we decided was that we were gonna, as we went through our process and we started to develop our programs, we figured that we would, as we knew it was gonna take a few weeks, and in that time we'd get to see what the Fed was gonna do, what the state of Michigan was gonna do, what the county was gonna do, what insurance companies were gonna do, and see what kind of aid that would be offered with regard to our businesses. Well, and I'm not going to bore you with the details, but anybody who's filed for the personal payroll or the payroll protection program, it's been, for lack of a better term, a nightmare for most. Sites have been crashing. I just got a text before this meeting that the White House said that the $350 billion they run out of funds today, whether that's political posturing to get the other $250 billion passed or not, I don't know. But the program that was supposed to be available through June 30th might be running out of funds today per the White House. I'm not sure that helps anybody. Also, and again, I don't want to bore you with the details, but that program, the way it's set up, with providing 8 weeks of payroll, 2.5 times, your monthly payroll, but the clock starts for 8 weeks. For our retail shops, first of all, that's not a great help because they don't have big payrolls, okay? They don't have, a lot of people. They don't have 50 people on the payroll for the most part. For the bars and restaurants, if they get their payroll they get their forgivable loan today, and the clock starts today, by the time the 8 weeks is up, hopefully they've opened their doors. If they have, it's at a lower capacity, and they got to restock, so they have no money left to withstand anything else. The county has offered, as we well know, $3 million and $10,000 grants. I'm pretty good at math. That's 300 total grants. I can only imagine how overwhelmed they've been with applications there. The state, the only program that I've seen that directly would impact any of our businesses was the liquor buyback program yesterday for the bars and restaurants, whereby you keep the liquor and you give them a list of what you bought up before March 15th, and basically you get a 90-day free loan on it. So, I guess if you stocked up for St. Patrick's Day, that's something, but for most, it helps, believe me. The insurance companies have been absolutely no help from everything I've understood. Anybody who's tried to file or talk to anybody about a business interruption program has been denied. I've even heard of people I even heard one case where somebody had pandemic in their policy, and the insurance company said, well, not this kind of pandemic. So I know there's pressure, from the government for the insurance companies to do something else. Who knows? Maybe they're posturing, looking for the government to back them up, and maybe they will come through with something, but we can't wait on that. So basically, any of the government programs available so far, just by time until the doors are open for the most part, none of them, I can guarantee you, are gonna drive or incentivize people and customers to return to downtown Royal Oak to shop, dine, get their hair and nails done, or go to drag queen bingo, or go to a comedy show. I don't think they're gonna be doing anything in that direction. So here's what we're proposing. Basically, we started kicking around ideas and potential programs to both prop up businesses and stimulate demand for the downtown and our businesses when the order is lifted and people can come back out. We also wanted to take some time, again, to see the programs and potential efficacy of the federal, state, and county plans. I want everybody to keep in mind, and this was something we discussed from the get-go, there is no one-size-fits-all in this. In this situation, it's impossible. And we don't have the time to vet and design and develop the panacea. So some of these programs, when we flesh them out and we do everything we can on them, and we all agree on them, and hopefully approve them, we're gonna have people saying, well, that doesn't fit me, well, that doesn't fit me. We're gonna try our best to get it as homogeneous as possible. The bottom line is, we don't have the time to, sit here and the last thing we wanted to do was paralysis by analysis, whereby the clock is ticking, and by the time we get something together and get it right, 15 businesses have closed. It doesn't mean that we're gonna throw darts in the dark, anything but that, I can guarantee you that. Paramount to these programs are that they're universal and they're aimed to help all sectors of our downtown economy as equitably as possible. Retail, salons, bars, restaurants, entertainment revenue. We want this to be all hands on deck. We're calling on the entire Royal Oak community to come together as one in an effort to keep our downtown and its businesses thriving into the future. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. I mean, we want cohesion. We want to unite, obviously, the restaurants, bars, the retail shops, the salons, the entertainment venues, Siren, Screw, the police department, the Chamber of Commerce, the Farmers Market, Mayor Fournier and his office, the City Commission, Todd Fenton, the landlords. We love what Bill Harrison did. Kudos to Bill Harrison for giving his tenants $1 rent in April and willing to consider it further on. Every night I go to bed, I pray and hope that there's more Bill Harrisons out there in Royal Oak. I really do. State Rep Jim Ellison, we're gonna need him. Commissioner Dave Woodward, we're gonna need you. Oakland County, and especially our neighbors and families, and all the other residents of Royal Oak. We need everybody to come together as much as possible. I know there's some people that don't like this segment of downtown. Some might not like our parades. Some might not like our pub crawls or whatever. We got to put all that aside, and we need to help everybody do everything we can to bring foot traffic, not only during the day, but at night back to Royal Oak. To assist in this, we are hiring, and it's in the budget, we're hiring an intern to act as an aide to Sean, because Sean is going to be overwhelmed, particularly once we get these programs rolling. Probably after today, the phone calls alone are going to barrage him. Her name is Jordan Sachs. She's a college junior, very intelligent young lady, and she'll be working obviously virtually with Sean. I'm sure she'll have some interaction with Siren. She'll have some interaction with us as well. The program is basically in two parts. The first part is a financial aid program. The second part is promotional programs to stimulate demand and bring businesses back, or bring business back to downtown Royal Oak as quickly and again vibrantly as possible. On the financial aid package, we're still finalizing the parameters, conditions, and the application form. We anticipate to have that done pretty soon. And we're also still tossing around whether these are going to be straight out grants or some form of a forgivable loan. Okay, they are not going to be a loan with any kind of interest rate straight out of the box. They're either going to be a grant or some form of forgivable loan. Obviously, all of this is going to be will need to be vetted by legal before we get it out there. And one of the things that we're striving very hard to guard against is, we're not the government, and we're not printing money here. So we don't want to we want to try to, as much as possible, not give money to a business that may have already decided not to reopen. So keeping that in mind, you can understand where we're going to be with the timing of this thing. This will all be finalized in the next few weeks. We'll bring it to the entire DDA board for approval. And then once the application is approval, immediately the application process will start. I don't want to set a time frame on it, but we have an idea in our head of how long we're going to give people to apply. And then we'll go through the applications and distribute the funds to the businesses. Second part is the programs to stimulate demand for downtown Royal Oak and our businesses. We've already identified, researched, and we've begun development on 4 programs. Once again, these are aimed at universally covering all sectors of the downtown businesses, as well as all sectors and demographics of our existing and potential customer base. At this time, it wouldn't be prudent to discuss much detail on these programs for a number of reasons. Situation obviously is very fluid, and it's an absolute moving target, one like I've never seen. When we started these discussions 3 weeks ago, I went back to my notes and I looked at some of the things that we had written down, and 2 weeks later, that was obsolete, and things had changed so much that what we decided wouldn't make sense. So within the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have a better idea on how the various components of the government's order will be adjusted or lifted, I hope. None of us have a crystal ball, but I think we can obviously see it whereby, particularly in the bar and restaurant sector, that they'll probably be the last to open. And when they do open, probably 50% capacity. Nobody knows how big the crowd size will be. Will Royal Oak Music Theater be able to have concerts anytime soon? Will nightclubs be able to be at full capacity? These are all things that are yet to be seen and that we may need to adapt to. Again, we're trying to design the programs to be as flexible as possible so we can adapt on the fly if need be. All that being said, we're not waiting to see exactly when and how the order is lifted. If we get approval on this $2 million today, we go to work immediately. And we got a lot of work to do. And Sean knows this, Lindsay knows this, Scrooge knows this, the rest of Siren knows this, the BMC knows it. And we're gonna need everybody that I just listed and any other resources we need to finalize the development design and get this stuff into production, get this up for approval and into production as soon as possible. Interesting thing, when we first started talking about how and whom to target with these demand stimulus programs, it kind of jumped right out at us that we've got 60,000 customers / family members in this community. And we all have one thing in common. On our driver's license, where it says city, it all says Royal Oak. And you can guarantee that one of these programs is going to be aimed directly at and for the benefit of not only the downtown businesses, but every resident who resides in Royal Oak. We want to just, again, try to coalesce everybody. We want to have, this isn't a shop local program. Part of it is going to be a shop local program, but we'll have other programs for everybody else as well. And some of those other programs will also impact and help the Royal Oak residents. What are the next steps? We get approval today. The next couple of weeks, we'll be in full development design mode. When we have semi-formal design, detail and cost estimates for all the programs, we'll disseminate it through the committees for explanation and input. At that point, when we're all on board, we'll schedule another DDA meeting. We're hoping for early May. I've already talked to Tim about this. If Dave agrees with that, again, we feel this is of the utmost importance. But if we're ready to get this stuff approved, in 2.5, 3 weeks, we'd like to get it approved as quickly as possible. At that point, we flip the switch on production and hope to have all programs, quote, in the can and ready to be rolled out when needed by mid to late May. We recognize that, as I mentioned, the situation's ever changing. We'll need to monitor several factors, especially how people react when the shelter-at-home order is lifted and the timing of when it's lifted. We may not roll out all the programs. We may not roll all the programs out right out of the box. In other words, some of them, it might not make sense to bring them out because they'll have greater impact when people are more comfortable coming out and when we have a better idea of how to really target it based upon who's coming out, when they're coming out, what they're doing, etc. But we do want them to have ready to go on a moment's notice. We want to be, I hate to use the term, but we want to be ahead of the curve. Last thing, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to wrap by saying that all the funds for these programs are coming from our reserve fund balance. None of this will compromise any of the work or programs that we normally do or have planned. And the fund balance, it's interesting. You know, some people have had issues with the downtown, with the development downtown and some of the things we've done. Well, the only thing I can say is we wouldn't have this fund balance. It wouldn't have been possible to have it without the recent major development projects in the downtown area, like Sing, like the Hyatt Hotel, like Henry Ford, like the Etkin Building. So we're, I think we're very fortunate, and I think you know, that we have the funds that we have, and I'm out of breath.
Okay.
These are the programs we put together. Again, more detail coming. I'm going to throw it open for questions, Mike, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, I just want to make two quick comments before we throw it open for some questions and discussion here. One is, I just want to caution everybody that in terms of the relief program, my understanding is where we're at with this is that Tim and Sean are working on the criteria for the relief program. They're also working on the application for the relief program. And when they're comfortable with it and Mr. Gillum is comfortable with it, all the DDA members will then be privy to it. We will adjust it and get all the feedback and all the concerns drawn out before anything is rolled out to anyone. So it's going to come back to us again for an approval.
Sure.
So I don't want to, I guess what I'm trying to say is that along with the programs that we're looking at, I don't want to get into too much depth of conversation with those today because they're still in the early process of being developed. So I'm not sure all the questions that we have will get answered today. They will get answered at some point though. And everybody will have access to them and input to all of them moving forward. So I just want to assure all the members of that. We may not have all the answers that you want today in terms of what the criteria may be, or the relief programs may or may not be either. So that being said, if there's any questions that you want to direct towards the Business Marketing Committee, who is working on this, that'd be fine. We could do that now. Mr. Gillum.
Matt, just a general question. Are you looking to be able to essentially give some help to anybody that wants it, or do you envision being somewhat selective in terms of who gets the help?
Well, we're designating it for you know, the independent bars, restaurants, salons, coffee shops, entertainment venues, retail shops, those in general, and we'll have some. We want to make sure that they're staying, that they intend to reopen.
Right, I remember you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, Dave, we've looked at the federal programs and the county programs, and we're trying to operate within the small business definition of what they've used in some of their criteria on their programs. So we're trying to operate within that same type of mode. We may adjust it. I know that Sean said there were some things in the county program that he didn't necessarily agree with would work in our program. So, but on a basis, it is a small business type of program that we're striving for here.
Yeah, and I'll say something further with that. One of the things that we have an idea of one of the main parameters that we want to use, and we're still tossing it around. I can assure you that it's not payroll, because again, that's in our opinion, that's totally unfair for the retail shops, because they, you got a gift shop where, the mother and the daughter run it or something like that, and that's all their payroll that they have. Well, no, so they got the Zowie from the payroll protection program because they had no payroll, and now we're going to double up on that and knock them on the head again? No. So we think we have a pretty equitable way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, Jenny.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think this is a great idea. I'm proud that this authority has come up with this way. I guess my question to the authority is, do you have a specific date that you think you'll be able to start opening this up for people to take advantage?
I think we have a wish, and and Matt, I don't know if you want to jump in on this also. I think we have a wish date.
Yeah. I've been, some of these guys are probably tired of listening to me with my sense of urgency, but I've been pounding pretty hard on the timeline, and I'm going to throw this out there just to put more pressure on them. I'd love to have the application ready to be approved and brought to us at the very beginning of May, and then we start the application process then, and I can see that we can probably a couple weeks to get that in. So by the middle of May, we've got the applications in, and then we go through the process. And again, as soon as we get through the way I see it, as soon as we get through the approval process, then we have to bring the grants or forgivable loans back to be approved, I'm sure. And again, legal needs to bless all this. But I'm going to flat out say it. We will not distribute the money until places are ready to open back up. There's a number of reasons why we want to do that. But people will know that it's coming, and they'll know when it's coming. And we're not going to be, sorry, it's not going to be like the Fed where somebody gets up there and says, get your loan in and you'll get your money in your bank that day. And then, a week later, nobody's heard anything from anybody. We'll live to the dates that we say.
Yep. And just to piggyback on that, I think the application form, Sean, you might jump in here, but the application form is going to have some specific dates that people need to apply by, and then with that date in mind, we're going to have some parameters as to how long it's going to take us to process those and go through those, and hopefully that won't be a long period of time once the criteria is developed. So, anything else? Does anybody want to bring? Yeah, Gary.
Matt, did you want to talk about the way that this is defined in this proposal? As it's defined as the Royal Oak Downtown Development District. There are businesses in the Royal Oak Downtown Development District that are not necessarily in the TIF district.
Yeah.
Is there a delineation between that?
Yeah,
Gary, Mike,
Sean,
can I address this though? I talked to Sean about defining it as a downtown development district. My thought was that whether we take the money from TIF revenue, whether we take it from the millage levy, or whether we take it from proceeds from the sale of the property at 696, the intent is to cover everyone, or potentially cover those businesses that are defined as being eligible eventually, that are in the district. So anyone that's in the district that's paying the levy would be eligible to apply if they're an eligible business once that's approved. So it's just, I can't spend the TIF money outside the TIF district, but there aren't that many businesses that are not in the TIF district anyways anymore. There's a few. So we'll take money from the land proceeds at 696, or the actually the millage levy. We have a little money left in there. There are also some other things going on that I'll touch on in a minute, but I hope that answers your question, Gary. And again, once Sean and I have the program put together, we'll sit down with Dave and talk to him about, from a legal standpoint, what if any issues we might have. And then the intent is to bring that outline to the board for approval. And as Matt said, I think we can do this by the first or second week of May. That's subject to you guys all being available to have a meeting, because this will have to come back for a meeting for the board to bless the actual program and its outline. So I think, Gary, the intent's to potentially cover everybody that's in the DDA district.
So Tim, just for clarification, because that was actually one of my first questions, was those people in that line. Tim, do you have your camera on? So
Yes.
the pink will be covered, correct?
Yeah, there's not too many businesses over there based on the definition that you guys have outlined so far to me and Sean that are going to be eligible, but there will be a few, and that's why I think that we can cover it. The operating fund has a little bit of a fund balance in it too. Those people in that area pay that operating millage. So I think on that basis, we'll be able to provide some assistance in that area as well.
Fantastic. Okay.
Thanks, Tim. It was good clarification there. So at this time, does anybody want any more questions to be asked of anybody on the panel here? Matt, did you have something that you wanted to add?
No. I was just going to say before we go on, I need to toss it to Sean, who's got one more component to the program. But there's anybody any more questions? All right, Sean, you want to take over?
Sure, just very briefly. If we are going to put together a program that relies on applications and making sure that applications are turned in an organized fashion, in a manner that we can keep track of them very effectively. I have been talking to the executive director as well as members of the BMC about maybe thinking ahead of the curve a little bit and giving some consideration to having a website put together specifically for this program. There could be an online application portal. It could house and save all of those applications in a secure fashion rather than them just going to an email inbox where, they could fall through the cracks or anything of that nature. So if we did want to have something rolled out, we'd want to start thinking about this sooner rather than later, because it does take some time to develop these kinds of things. I do have some connections that with some, local companies that can put something together that's fairly simple, that's quick. But if this is going to go back to the DDA, I don't want to have to approve it and then wait for the development of a website. And then we're looking at the end of May where we're getting applications out. So just something for the board to consider in terms of.
Yeah, so can we then, does anybody have some feedback on that, just to give Sean a little bit of a direction? I'll go with Jenny first. I see you, Gary. I'll go with Jenny first.
Sean, I think that's a great idea. I think a website would be way more efficient for this disbursement or consideration of funds. So I would second you getting that developed.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Not only that, but it would also be integral for when we start rolling these programs out, because there's some programs that we're going to have to give some of the businesses the ability to opt in or out of some of these programs, and whether they want to be involved in them or not. So it's going to be helpful to have, and also to be able to let customers and consumers know, who's doing this, who's in on this program, who's in on that program. So
let me go to Gary first, please.
I'm sure all of you have been through this the past couple of weeks.
Yes.
Filling out these government forms. They're very complicated and tedious. Anything that you can make automated with the ability to fill out fields electronically and use electronic signatures and save right directly to the computer rather than having to print, fill out, and scan would be most appreciated and efficient, I think.
I'll just, and I know Tim and Sean have taken it further, but on Sean's first pass at the application, again, the content's not finalized, but unless things have changed, I think it's going to be fairly simple for him.
Sean?
Yeah, I'll just add that in the conversations with the business marketing committee, I think the term we used was try to keep it to a one-pager in terms of its simplicity. We want to make it very easy to navigate. We don't want to frustrate people. Likewise, I probably should add that if we do go with an online application form, just for the sake of accessibility for people, we should have a PDF version also available for people to print out if they prefer to have that option.
Okay, sounds like some great feedback.
Tony, you got anything to add?
I would like to add a motion.
Before,
Well, we'll go ahead, we'll entertain a motion right now, and then we'll see if there's any more questions or discussion, that's
well,
fine.
I have one before you make the motion, Tony.
Go ahead, Tim.
Sean has drafted a simple resolution that allocates the funds and basically says that board's on board with putting the program together so that staff can do that and move forward, knowing that you want to see it, bring that back. If you actually want to authorize the development of the website, and or if you want to authorize the hiring of an intern, I need a little more detail added to that resolution.
Okay.
I'm not sure when you want to hire this intern. Is it after we bring the program back, or is it next week?
Now,
So if it's next week, I would need some kind of indication, and I've talked briefly with Sean about what he thinks he would need there in terms of basically 10 to 15 hours a week. If it's at $15 an hour, that's about two and a quarter a week. So with that in mind, you'd add that to the resolution. And
Sure.
then finally, if you have a top end on what you want to spend on this website, I'd like some indication of what that might be. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but I would also add that to the resolution so that we know we can do it right now.
okay. Sean, do you have a top end dollar amount that you think we can justify not to exceed?
Yeah, for the first quote that I've received so far is about $2,700, so it's a little less than that. But I would say we want to say the top end, $2,700 to $3,000 for the establishment, the design and creation of a website that includes the online form application, a way to store them, and hosting for 1 year.
Okay. So, Tony, we're going to leave it to you here, I guess. So there's
Good luck.
good luck. There's two additional items that need to be added to the resolution. One to deal with the website and maximum amount of expenditure for that, and the other to be regarding the intern, the hiring of the intern, which I think is important because of what we're going to have to go through here. Before you make that motion, I want to defer to Jason here for a second.
Good question. How long is the intern intended to be around, just during filling out the application and everything?
No. We have a ton of work to do, a ton of work.
We were concerned about going, once the program is initiated, answering of the phone calls and the dissemination of information, and the feedback that we would get from the public. And then also we were looking at an assistant to Sean to roll out some of the relief programs that we're going to want to institute as we move forward here. I don't think we had I don't think there was any discussion about specific timeline for the intern. I don't know if we should put one on it or just leave it open and see how it goes.
No, I'm only asking because it seems like to help, I think you used the word disseminate or flesh out, underwrite these applications that come in. I think that makes sense, right? Because that's probably going to be a lot. I would question, Sean, do you think that you will be overwhelmed, or are you already overwhelmed? Because for a while we did not have somebody with your position on there at the DDA.
Okay.
And now we do. And now I know that there's something. I'm just raising the question that,
yeah,
right now everybody seems to be cutting staff around the country, and we're bringing staff on. I just want to make sure we're doing it in the right way. That's all.
good thought. So, Sean, I'll let you go first and then I'll go to Matt.
Well, I think the expectation is that's come out of the conversations with the Business Marketing Committee is that there will be a significant increased communication from business owners reaching out with regard to information on the relief programs. I think what we also discussed was a significant increase in the needs for tedious data entry activities, because we're going to have a lot of information that's coming in on these applications that we're going to have to verify with our existing downtown business database, and potentially update a lot of that information if necessary.
And the other thing is, and I'll be honest with you, Jason, and everybody, we're probably going to need another one, because once we get into the recovery programs, there's the stuff that we're putting together. There's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of getting the programs to market and following through on them and figuring out how to monitor them and how to disseminate the product that we're getting out there, for lack of a better term. Trust me when I tell you, and I'll tell you what, if Sean doesn't need the help, I do. So.
Okay.
Director Safai, can I just clarify, is the compensation for the intern and the cost of the website, that's coming from the 2 million, or is that outside of it?
Tim, can you answer that?
Oh, it's my understanding it would be coming out of the 2 million.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's coming out of the 2 million.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Tim, so we're going to put a cap on the expenditure for the website to be part of the resolution. And what exactly did you want to see out of the?
Well, I think you could, if Tony's going to do it, he could pass the resolution with the addendum that includes a $3,000 limit for development of a web page to take applications, and hiring an intern at $225 a week for 3 months. And in 3 months you can extend it.
Why are we passing a $2 million bill here and a project here, and we're putting a cap on the intern at $225? If we need it for 30 hours a week, is that going to be an issue? I don't understand that.
Well, I got to have some what we're budgeting for it.
Up to 40 hours a week. I don't know. I won't know until we get into it. I mean, it's 15.
Well, it's got to be the board approval, not yours.
I understand that. But I don't want to put a cap on it and then tell her that she can't work if she's over 20 hours a week and we need something done.
Well, that's up to the board and your vote. So whatever you guys want to do with it, but.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Lori.
How many businesses are there that could potentially apply?
We had Sean go through the database, and Sean, I don't know if you want to expand upon it, but I think we ended up with right around 120 to 140, somewhere in that range.
Just curious.
Yeah, within that range. So because the program is currently under development right now, there's still some discussion as to, what qualifies as a small business, what kind of caps need to be put on, whether something's a franchise or independently owned or whatnot. So that I think is still in discussion, but I think with some of the limited information that I had, my count was about 128 businesses could potentially qualify. Don't hold me to that number.
No, I was just curious because you're talking about the intern. If you need another one, like how many businesses are we talking? Like 50 or 100? That's, I was just curious how much work.
Don't focus on the financial aid package as the only thing that the intern's going to be doing. The other programs are going to require a ton of work.
So,
Okay, Jason.
I'm all about doing this and helping out. I'm having a hard time understanding what these interns will do that Sean can't do in a 40-hour work week. Like, are you already that overwhelmed, Sean? I just want to understand it. That's all. And these are the same things I go through in my own business, and I want to make sure that I'm 100% on board before I can vote on something like this. If you say, I'm already overwhelmed, I have a full week, and to go through 150 applications is unreasonable, plus whatever else is going on, then I'm going to back it up. But I need to hear that.
Presently, I am not currently overwhelmed, but I think the expectation from the committee is that I will be once this program is live.
And do you feel that way too, Sean? I mean, you can foresee that as being
I don't know.
no possibility?
I mean, it's, of course, it's broadly logically possible, but I mean, I can't say with any certainty that I will at this point in time. You know, ask me in a month once we go live. I of course would have more certainty.
Jenny?
So I think some of this, what we're not totally anticipating around this work is, and I appreciate Matt and the committee thinking about this, is you're not only going to have to, you're going to have people just calling or inundating emails on how to fill out these forms or what they can qualify for. That is going to take Sean probably away from more of the grunt work that needs to be around this stuff as it starts. I appreciate Sean saying I'm not overwhelmed yet, but once we go live with this, everyone and their brother is going to be calling Sean saying, when does this start? How does it start? And on top of that, you are going to have everybody, you're going to have, I think that the data collection alone on this is going to be impressive enough that we are going to be improving all of the downtown data we have to date that probably should have been improved a couple of years ago.
If I can, Mike, if that's given based on what Sean said, and we're not gonna have this intern until we actually roll the program out, why don't we just include that as part of the plan when we bring it the first or second week of May, rather than trying to pass it today? Because if he's not overwhelmed, we're not gonna have applications next week. It's basically Sean and I and Siren working on the packet to get it out, so. If it's really the focus of trying to get the program together, and if the inundation of extra work is after we've rolled it out, that shouldn't occur until at least the May meeting.
Okay, I got a lot of people on the board here, so let me go through them one at a time. Tony, do you want to go, or I got Gary?
I have a good idea of what we're trying to do here. So, and the concern about the intern. So I'll try to flush out maybe this motion, and then we can have some discussion and tie it up. But you know, I think we might as well get something out, and so we can discuss it. So I would like to make a motion.
Okay. Well,
yes.
Let's go from there.
This is Director Yezbek. Since I'm just on the phone, you can't see my smiling face. I'd like to make a motion to allocate $2 million to the, as it's referred to in the budget, the Small Business Assistance Program, and authorize the Executive Director, his staff, the City Attorney to further prepare materials and guidelines to implement and promote the program, and then to pass it back to the DDA's Business Marketing Committee for further formal design and detail and cost estimates of the programs, and then for dissemination to the committees for input and explanation, and then ultimately back to the DDA board, hopefully the first week of May for further consideration. As part of this motion, I would like to also approve out of the $2 million fund, a website specifically created for the administration of this fund and program, not to exceed a cost of $3,000, and for the approval of an intern that is to assist in the implementation of not just the relief program, but the subsequent programs and concepts that the DDA has referenced today to get the downtown community back in action after this emergency is lifted. The intern may work up to 40 hours a week at $15 an hour on an as-needed basis to commence when the intern's needed. And the executive director and Sean can determine when that is. But so I think that covers all the items that we discussed, and that's my motion.
Okay, so in order for us to move forward here, we have a motion on the table. We would need a second to that motion to keep this discussion going. I'm sorry?
Second.
Second by Director Baglio. Now I'm going to open this up for discussion. Matt?
Yeah, with all due respect, and again, you guys, and there's stuff, you know, and again, we just can't flesh out the details and what we have in mind with the other program. But it is our goal to bring all of this back for approval, to bring it to committee first and then for approval in 2 to 2.5 weeks, not just the application. The other programs require immense work. And again, I'll say this, if you guys don't want Sean to have the assistant, and I'm being very serious about this, I will take the assistant, okay? I could use it. I need a conduit between what we've been doing, and I need a conduit between me and Siren, between me and Sean. There's been umpteen hours that have got, I wish I had one for the last 3 weeks, to be honest with you.
Okay. Gary, did you have something you wanted to add?
I think that Tony's resolution covered everything that we needed. And one point that I want to make, and Matt, I think that what you described are from what I heard, 4 different programs that we're going to be developing. And I think what kind of fell through the cracks are the other 3, other than the main one that we were talking about.
No. There's 1 under the financial aid package and 4 under the other package, so it's 5.
Yeah. So 5. So I think that Tony's resolution covered everything. I think we're good to go. Don't you agree?
And I'll just say, can I just say that and I certainly heard Jason and Lori and Tim, and by just doing it on an as-needed basis, we can't get hurt. I mean, we're not going to pay someone just to pay someone. If Sean needs the intern, then we pay the intern. So at least Sean has that available to him when necessary, and so it doesn't. There's no harm done if he doesn't need it. Sure.
Okay. Jason.
So I'm going to support what Tony said, and I agree with everything what everybody's saying. Today was the first day I heard about an intern. If I didn't challenge it in my own mind, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, right? So I wanted to vet it for myself. Okay.
That's good. That's why we're here. That's great.
So I like the direction that we're going, and I just want to always be very cautious about how we spend money. That's the only reason why I was bringing it up.
We need that. I'm looking around for any other comments on the motion that's on the table.
I want to thank the Business Marketing Committee for all of the hard work that they've done on this proposal. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right.
We make a motion, please.
We have a motion. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and that motion passes. All right, I'm going to move quickly along to the next agenda item. Holiday lights 2020-21. Tim?
Basically, the infrastructure committee met with English Gardens, and at this point when they met was simply recommending continuing the contract as you did this last winter. So there's a simple resolution at the end of the memo that if you're comfortable with continuing with the plan as done during fiscal year 1920 or 19 and 2020 through the next holiday season, I would just pass that resolution.
Okay. Any discussion, or would anybody like to make a motion towards this?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Motion by Director Baglio,
Second.
Support.
second by Director Krieger. Any discussion? I'm not seeing any. I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
That's the shortest Christmas decoration discussion.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
Wait till next year, Gary.
Wait till next year, yeah, exactly, wait till next
And it's
year.
a different ball of wax.
kudos to the committee for getting the price down too.
Yeah. Okay, item number 9.
Let's hope we have a Christmas.
Yeah.
Request
Item
for
number-
funding, item number 9. Tim?
Item number 9 was on your March agenda. Again, this was kind of a little before the COVID-19 occurred. It was a request from the Commission for the Arts for funding next fiscal year. I've included this in the budget submission that you'll take on later. I'm not sure that their program's going to continue the way it is, but I don't have any objection to you passing this resolution and approving it. And if they don't use it or the programs don't go forward, we just won't spend it.
Okay, I'll go with Jenny first here.
I was gonna just reiterate what Tim was saying. I agree with that we should go forward with this, resolution.
Okay. Mr. Gillum?
Just a kind of a quick update, if you will. I've traded some emails with Jason Gittinger and some other members of this committee, and they recognize that they're in a kind of precarious position right now, like all of us are. But all things permitting, they would like to be able to go ahead with all of their programs for the coming year. So yeah, I'll be supporting the motion because let's allocate the money, like Tim said. Hopefully we'll be able to spend it. If not, I don't think we have anything to lose.
Okay. Jenny, can I get you to possibly make a formal motion?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the expenditure for the Royal Oak, Arts, or I'm sorry, I don't know their.
Commission for the Arts.
Commission for the
Commission
Arts.
for the Arts.
Okay. Thank you. I have a motion on the table and supported by Mr. Gillum. Does anybody have any questions or comments or any discussion here? I'm not seeing any, so I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and that motion passes. Item number 10, cost sharing agreement, 3rd Street, Streetscape.
The DDA maybe recall that February 19th, you adopted a resolution regarding this request. It is in regards to improvements on the north side of 3rd Street between the alley and Main Street. It is depicted on the map that's included in your packet as Area 1A. It's a portion of Streetscape that is not been done along 3rd Street. It doesn't really have a funding source. It's not part of the Royal Oak Civic Center project, and it would be the only segment left of 3rd Street that isn't done at the completion of all of these projects, including the Henry Ford site. What the Central Park Development Group has agreed to do is use their contractor, Clark Construction, and at the point they install the streetscape adjacent to the Henry Ford building, they would complete this segment of the streetscape improvements as well. The attached agreement has been reviewed by Central Park Development Group. Dave Gillum has looked at it. It's in front of you for your action and approval. There's also a cost estimate based on their bids from Clark Construction at $136,128.47 to install that work. If you approve it, that would be the dollar amount that we would anticipate paying to Central Park Development Group. Because you always don't know about any cost overruns, if there are any things that come up, those would have to be submitted and blessed by basically myself before we paid any more. If we thought it was out of line with our other streetscape work, obviously we would question it and get into it. But this agreement is consistent with what the DDA has seen in the past. And again, there is a suggested resolution on the bottom of the first page of the cover memo.
Okay, so I know this was before infrastructure at one point. Questions or comments? Jason, do you have anything you wanted to add on this? Or I know we discussed this at the committee level. Was there anything that you wanted to add to this?
No, I don't think so. We've been talking about this for a while, and like you said, it's a common thing, and I think it's been on our books and radar, so I was ready to, approve it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's a continuation of the work that they're doing, and we're just going to kind of finishing out the rest of the block. And by using the same contractor, we know we're going to get it, done completely and in sync with what they're doing. So I would support this. So if there's no other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the resolution.
Motion by Director Krieger. Supported by Director Riley. If there's no other discussion, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Okay. Item number 11, design services, alley lighting. Tim?
Yep. I'm just pulling it up,
Okay.
making notes. The infrastructure committee and the DDA members are aware that the alley that was improved between 3rd Street and 11 Mile Road, there's been discussion about trying to get some additional lighting in that alley. This proposal is to get the design services done for the alley. And that's primarily because as staff started to work with the infrastructure committee on what it should look like, what type of lights it should be. And as we worked with DTE, because we want to use their poles to mount the final product on here, DTE was asking for, well, what is it? And we didn't know what it was. So our first step would be to hire a firm to actually design it. It did go out for bids. We're recommending, the infrastructure committee is recommending that CI Engineering Solutions to the cost of, I believe it's $3,500 to do that design. And that is coming from the infrastructure committee as their recommendation for that resolution at the bottom of the cover letter.
Okay. Yeah, I just for the DDA to know, I think we sent out an RFP on this. We did interview a couple companies. We were unanimous as to the one that we chose for this design work. Director Krieger and Director Balgill was part of that. So if there's any questions or comments, or Director Krieger.
I just wanted to say, just kind of, I guess, follow up with what you were saying, that we did interview a couple of applicants. Usually the low bid scares me a little bit, but they were low bid and they said the right things. They are creative, and I really, I think we collectively thought that they were going to give us what we were looking for. So that's why the recommendation came out to it. So this is just for the design fee, right? And then from there, we'll see what the actual construction is. So this just this kicks the can down the road.
I agree. Anything else?
That's all I have. I'll move the resolution.
Motion by Director Krieger.
I'll second it.
Second by Director London. If there's no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item number 12, facade grant reimbursement, 417 South Washington Avenue for the proving grounds.
This basically is just coming back for the board's approval. The work's been done. They've submitted the photographs of the finished product. This is a facade grant that you did bless previously. There is a resolution there to authorize reimbursement of their funds pursuant to the approved facade agreement. I don't know if Sean's got any other comments, but he's kind of coordinated with the petitioner.
Anything, Sean?
I'll just add that the board approved this at its meeting of August 21st, 2019. They authorized the requested funds, which was $3,700 at the time. The receipts that have been submitted by the applicant, looks like they came in a little under budget here. Let's see, I think we have them at, let's see, they came in around 2,900. If I can find the right.
29/12/47, it says in your,
Yep.
Okay.
in your email.
Yep, $2,912.47, which is 50% of what they expended on the facade and the sign.
Okay. Any other discussion? I would like to entertain a motion.
I'll move the motion.
Moved by Director Krieger,
Second.
second by Director Roswick. If there's no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Tim, where do you want to go with 13 and 14 here?
Well, 13A would be first, just take them right in order.
Okay,
13A is your goals and objectives. These goals generally get put in the city's budget document. Really, most of them probably can stay consistent. The ones I kind of highlighted or marked up, we may want to remove or modify. And then my question would be, given that you passed the strategic communication plans earlier this evening, whether you wanted to incorporate, I believe there's 3 goals in that that we would add to this in regards to communication plan. So I'm looking for your input and approval is that these are your goals and objectives for fiscal year 2021.
okay, hopefully everybody has those in front of us. Can we give Tim some direction here as to, are we satisfied with what is before you? And do we want to make the additions that he suggested?
So the addition was the strategic plan we discussed earlier? Is that what the addition would be then?
Yeah, I believe there's 3 goals in there, but and I would think we'd add those to this as part of a communication strategy.
I would agree that we should add that.
Okay, so the feedback so far is that we should accept the goals and directives in front of us and then add the 3 portions suggested by the executive director.
Correct.
Any further discussion on this?
Do we have anything in here about the park? And do we need anything about the downtown park at this point?
Well, we almost finished one of them. Says create downtown city park, provide financial support for Royal Oak City Center proposed park. So we kind of have that in there. It's gonna morph by next year, right? At that point, creation's done, or 2 years, right? 2 years of creation's done. So maybe we just leave it right now.
Yeah. Could I think we have something about, do we have anything about utilizing website to maybe bring more transparency to our meetings, our committee meetings? In this, I know we have something that says we conduct regular meetings with stakeholders to receive feedback on policies, projects, and events occurring downtown. But I don't know if we have such sunshine around our committees. And there has been comments about what seems to be, maybe closed committees.
So, Director Rosbeck, are you referring to, getting that information out to the public?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna call on Mr. Gillum here to give us maybe some thoughts. Is it typical in terms of, the sunshine laws and everything that, meeting notes and discussions that take place at the committee level, be published, or, is that a common practice? If you have any insight into that at all.
Well, if subcommittees are actually involved in any kind of deliberations toward a final decision by the actual body itself, that is, if a subcommittee is eliminating any options, as opposed to just bringing all the options together to the body with a recommendation, then they're going to be subject to the Open Meetings Act. And they should be having posted meetings, it should be minutes, and all the documents that are considered by the subcommittee would be subject to the Open Meetings Act and the Freedom of Information Act as well.
Okay.
And that's, if I could add to that, Mike, and that's not what the committees do.
No, that's what I was just gonna.
Everything the committees do is that you went through the materials and you come with a recommendation, but you don't eliminate any particular item. You forward that recommendation. No final decisions are being made at the committee levels. So there's, as Dave said, there's no need to comply with the Open Meetings Act. It is a lot of work to keep minutes and do things like that. I mean, as you'll see in your own minutes, the only thing we do for your minutes are the actual resolutions that you pass. So everything the committee sees at least eventually gets to the DDA board unless a certain party withdraws. And we've had discussions at the committee level where the party has decided not to come forward and didn't submit stuff. But anyways, that's why we don't do the minutes and post those meetings.
Okay.
So on that basis, then it really becomes a question of the level of transparency that the DDA wants to have. It's not required, but it's always something that the DDA could do if it wanted to. And to what extent really would be up to the DDA as well.
Yeah, I see there. I think,
So here,
I see what Director Aswick's getting at here, and to a certain point, I agree with her. I think we just need some more discussion as to what extent we would want to, develop something or do something. Is it just a matter of Sean being part of a committee meeting and taking notes, and then those notes being posted somewhere on our website or something along that line, or whether it's more or less, I don't know. But it sounds like we need some further discussion on this.
can I just clarify
Yeah, go
my
ahead.
point too? I think some of the work that we do comes into committee via some of our commissioners that maybe not everyone understands how to bring that type of new business into our committees. So I think great example is the Metro Times blowout. It was a great event, but it came into the Consumer Marketing Committee for work and discussion. And I think there were some comments made about how we could get more input, maybe if we were more people understanding they can bring that type of great thinking to us through those committees.
Right. I agree with that too. I think this probably maybe needs to have some more discussion, and maybe our individual committees could maybe at their meetings could bring this up and possibly, toss around some ideas, and see if there's something that we can do, in terms of being able to gather the information that you're talking about and utilizing it. I don't know if we want to go so far as to posting committee meetings, not legally posting them like we do for our regular meetings or city commission meetings, but maybe having somewhere on our website that saying that a meeting is going to transpire because all those meetings are open to the public also. So I don't know. That's just one thought. So I think we need to talk about this a little bit more. Okay. So Tim, are you satisfied then with the directive here? Did I lose Tim?
Muted.
Sorry,
There you go.
sorry, I gotta unmute myself.
Jim, are you satisfied with what Director Krieger has brought to the table in terms of accepting the goals and objectives with the additions that were recommended?
Yeah, I would just make a motion to approve with those additions and amendments.
Okay. Jason? Somehow everybody got muted here for some reason.
Sorry,
I didn't touch it. It wasn't me.
Getting muted. He's getting muted again.
Okay. Jay, can you?
Muted.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that one. Could you?
can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I made a motion to approve, the goals and objectives with the proposed amendments and, revisions.
Okay. So I have a motion on the table.
I second.
Second by Director Rosbeck. Okay. Any further discussion on this? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Tim, item B, operating fund.
Yeah, this is just your fund that's generated primarily from the property tax levy on the businesses downtown. It's mostly operating costs like office supplies, some tree replacement, and the miscellaneous contracted services. We do the Rose Pest Control program through here, and occasionally you bring someone else in to do some other work under that. Last year, we actually put the ride share program in here, so that's why it's a little higher at 28,000 than the 10. So anyways, this fund is just the millage levy. It's about 51,000 in revenues, plus some interest, and then some use of fund balance this fiscal year to round off revenues and expenditures at 58,990. You will notice that there's a fund balance in there anticipated at the beginning of the fiscal year of a little over 111,000.
Okay.
There is a resolution there for your consideration.
Yeah.
Okay. Wishes of the DDA. Matt.
I just move to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second that.
Second by Director Krieger. Any discussion?
I don't think there's, I don't think there's too much to discuss, so that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Just let it go.
Seeing no more, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the motion passes. Item C, Development Fund.
Obviously, you may have more discussion in this one. It's set up very similar. This is a fund where you get your TIF revenue from. The property tax revenues there at the top of the page, under column listed as 2021 department requested budget. That's the line that I have put in for next fiscal year, obviously subject to your revisions today. You'll see that the property tax revenue is anticipated to be about 4.5 million with some interest. And then I've included the use of the some fund balance at 6.4 million, but you'll see where that is as we go through the expenditures to balance this out. Transfer from Arts, Beats, and Eats, again, assuming that that event occurs and they do generate sufficient parking revenue to pay you back. With that, you're looking at a slightly over $11 million in use of, in terms of revenue. Again, 6.4 of that is from the fund balance. The first, continuing down that column, the first numbers that are listed there in light blue, those are all provided to me by the finance department in terms of wages and related benefits. Those wages include a portion of myself, Sean, and then DPS services when they come to the downtown and do work. And that work may include the removal of snow from the sidewalks. Depending on what year it is, that may be lighter or greater depending on how much snow comes, as well as replacing the decorative light fixtures if one gets broken. So basic work that DPS personnel do on behalf of the DDA and the downtown area are all included in that based on an assumption of last year. From there, I think you can read the line items in terms of these items. For some of them, I won't touch on all of them. Under miscellaneous contracted services, I've included worry-free services, again, for next fiscal year. Technically, they would have started April 6th. They've been put on hold because of the governor's order. We have paid them already for some of the flowers and materials, given that that was invoiced earlier in the year out of the current fiscal year. So they are basically sitting on flowers and some of the other stuff. This is related to next year and next spring at $375,000. English Gardens contract for the holiday lights. I've budgeted about $300,000 as an estimate to build out the commercial space in the 2nd Street parking deck. The next one down is the traffic signal mast arms at $583,000. This has been in front of the DDA before, and is a project that engineering is running. So that's the amount that we're anticipating needing for next fiscal year. The decorative pedestrian lights and street lights upgrades. This is replacing all of the sodium vapor light fixtures that are in the decorative lights. I think the infrastructure committee members will remember this, as well as some of the old poles that have a different diameter and have a plastic base on them. They're not the standard that we do with all the new streetscapes. So this upgrade has been sent out for bid. And the bid that was sent out was simply for hiring an electrician or electrical firm to actually do the installation. All the materials would be purchased through our standard supplier, Hanover Light, so we get the same light fixtures that are used everywhere else. There are some 547 light fixtures that we are talking about modifying in some fashion. So that's the 1.1 million. The alley improvement program is really just kind of a placeholder, depending on the design for the lights and some other things the committee want to get in at $300,000. The replacement of brick pavers and the 4th Street lights at $1.5 million. This contract award was actually in front of the City Commission Monday night for their consideration. They have postponed it until the meeting at 27th. They had some questions on that. I wasn't at the meeting and didn't hear it, but my understanding they had some questions on this project. The 4th Street lights, as you'll recall, were the ones that don't work. And then the brick paver replacement was taking out all of the old brick pavers that are still left, the concrete pavers, and replacing it with stamped concrete. it wasn't ripping out all of the sidewalks. It was only taking out the actual paver areas and replacing it with the standard stamped colored concrete at this point. And I believe that this has been in front of the DDA for discussions previously, so it's at 1.5 million. I don't know if Dave wants to add something from the commission discussion Monday night, but this is kind of the comment that they asked to be postponed over. I don't know all of the background on it. So, did you have anything, Dave?
I think the sense of the commission was, the majority anyway, was they didn't necessarily have a problem with the expenditure, at least on paper. I think their concern was that the DDA had not met for a couple months. We've had a sea change in circumstances since the time that the DDA would have brought this recommendation forward. And I think the city commission just wanted to give the DDA the opportunity to revisit the expenditure to still make sure that the DDA felt this was an appropriate use of money at this point in time, given everything else that's going on. And the commission was aware that the DDA was in the process of developing a program to assist the business in the downtown. So again, I think they're just looking for to hear from the DDA that this is still an appropriate use of DDA funds at this point in time.
Mike? Tim?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Question. Dave and Tim, I think I looked at the packet on the agenda, and I think the thing that was up for approval was just slightly under $1 million. Is that correct?
That's correct, $980,206.
Okay, and Tim, did that quote include everything that we were looking for in this?
It included, well, I didn't review the quote, engineering did, but I believe it included, as I said, taking out all of the old stamped concrete.
Yep.
It was there. We based our estimate and our discussions on engineering's inventory of where those were at. So I believe the short answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
And then it included improving the lights on 4th Street, getting them working again.
Right, and I would assume within that the outlets would work, up on top and everything, so the Christmas lights would be good, and that the wiring is gonna be all repaired down below.
That's my understanding, and if they use the new standard decorative street light, I believe most of those have outlets on them.
Okay, and then I'll just speak for, I can't remember if we had these discussions at the table or not, but I know in the business marketing committee, this was probably our #1 infrastructure program out there. Mike and Tony, would you agree with that?
I would, I think that we wanted to, one of our long-term goal was to get rid of all of the brick pavers at some point because of they're damaged. A lot of them are missing. DPS is coming out periodically and just throwing some asphalt in them for safety purposes and everything else. So I think that was a long-term goal. But what really ignited this thing is that, and I've had discussions with some commissioners about this, was the 4th Street lights have been, out for some time now. And it is very dark right around those railroad tracks areas. So, I guess my response to Mr. Gillum's comments about what came back from the commission would be that, yes, I think this is a program that we have to continue with. Now, as a compromise, if one needs to be put out there, and I don't know if this can work, Tim, is whether we can, break this down into sections and say, this work needs to be done as a high priority and needs to be done now, which would include the 4th Street project, and then put everything else on hold, if that's a needed compromise that needs to be made, or we just recommend to follow through with the program that, we initially put forth.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add, I would say that this is definitely still, I'll speak for the committee. We definitely have an appetite for this. And in fact, out of all the projects, I think this is probably the number one that we'd want to get going right away. And good news, we budgeted 1.5 million. It came in at $1 million. So, yeah. And you know, when you get to the bottom, even with the 2 million that we put in for the relief and recovery program, we still have a positive balance even before any of this. And I'll also say that there's a lot of items in here that I've highlighted that either won't happen or will happen to a lesser degree financially, because they'll be delayed. So there'll be other stuff in this budget that will come back.
Okay, so
Let me just add, if I could just add,
Go ahead, Tony.
Director Yuzbek. The brick pavers around the downtown are pretty bad. And so I don't know how we could, from a safety perspective, I don't know, I got a mean email from Heather from the Chamber of Commerce because she got, stuck her heel in one of the missing pavers coming out of Fifth Avenue. So it was very embarrassing. But Sean has some serious power in town because he got it replaced immediately, like the next day. I don't know who else has that kind of power. So thanks again, Sean. But in the spirit of this conversation, how feasible would it be to maybe defer this traffic signal replacement mass arm and decorative pedestrian streetlight that you just mentioned, Tim? That's like almost 1.7 million. How imperative is it to move forward quickly on that? I would definitely support deferring those items to make sure that we're, okay financially working through this crisis.
Well, the traffic signal arm replacement was already blessed. It's been out for design. It's pretty much moving forward. And as Matt said, I think you still see a fund balance at the bottom. The brick paver 4th Street thing, if you took 500,000 out of it, add it to the bottom, you'd have a fund balance of, almost $1.5 million down there as well. So I'm not sure that you need to take anything out of any project. The decorative pedestrian streetlights, as I said, is out for bid for the electrical items. I mean, you can stop any one you'd like, but they've all moved quite a bit, and they're about ready to go. So I don't know that there's any need to do that. And as you get down further, you'll see I've also put in 1.5 million for phase 2 of the downtown park. Well, that's obviously probably not going to get spent next fiscal year. I just want to make sure there's a commitment from the DDA to do that before the designers spend a lot of time on designing the second phase, which is basically the library steps and area that you'll see. If you recall the plan that was presented to you, that area was planned to be done in a phase 2. And again, the committee that looked at it thought it should all be done at once, rather than trying to come back after phase 1 of the downtown park's done. So, and I don't anticipate that 1.5 million will actually get spent in the 2021 year. And again, it's just an acknowledgement from the board that is a priority and you want to do it. There might be some spending out of that, but it certainly wouldn't hit the entire number by the end of next fiscal year, I don't think. And
okay.
Dave's been in many of those meetings that I've been into, and so I don't anticipate that all going forward.
Okay. So, Mr. Gillum, what I'm hearing, and I want to make sure that you're hearing the same thing as the feedback from the DDA, which is, I'm guessing that that's what the commission is looking for, some feedback from the DDA, that this program is a high priority to us. And we understand the caution of the funding of it and such forth. But from what I'm hearing is that we'd rather move forward with this project. And if we had to put a hold on something, it would be a different project other than this one. So I hope that clarify something, and I don't know if the commission is looking for anything more actionable, in terms of their discussion.
Would it make sense, Mike, would it make sense to modify that placeholder from 1.5 and put it down to $1 million?
Well, and something else, Mike, would it make sense to send a resolution to the commission?
That's what I'm trying to get some feedback right now from Mr. Gillum. So, I don't know if you want us to take this another step, Mr. Gillum, in terms of communicating to the city commission, about how we feel towards this project. I'm not sure what you're looking for, or basically what they're looking for.
Well, I think they were just looking for confirmation or affirmation that this was a project that the DDA wanted to go forward with at this particular time, recognizing that it's about $1 million of an expenditure.
Right.
And she wasn't the instigator necessarily, but I went back and watched the video again this afternoon, and Commissioner Macy's comment was, we're not trying to second guess the DDA. We're just giving them an opportunity to second guess themselves if they want to.
Right. Okay, so are you comfortable with the feedback that we've given here?
I guess I'm not hearing from anybody on the DDA that this is something that you do not want to go forward with. So I think that's the message that Tim and I can take back to the commission at their meeting on the 27th.
Okay, Tim, I have one more question on this. Do you happen to know, and maybe you might know because you were in the commission meeting, is the new wiring underground, is that going to be placed in PVC or steel conduit?
I'm gonna guess it's, I don't know for a fact, but all the other projects that we're doing around City Hall and the ones in the Civic Center project have all been PVC conduit.
Okay.
So I assume we're gonna continue with that.
Okay.
I will check and make sure.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
Tim, do you have anything more on the development fund?
Well, I run down the rest of it a little bit here real quick. So anyways, there's 1.5 in there, and as the bid came in, it's a little under $1 million. If you want to roll it down to $1 million, that's fine, and I'll just add the 500,000 to the fund balance. As I go down this, there's 11,000 in the Second Street stamped concrete. That's for finishing the area over between the new parking deck and the Henry Ford building. That's a small portion for the DDA because the DDA asked for the colored stamped concrete. The city and Central Park Development Group are working out a detail of how the remainder of that improvement gets paid for. So that would be only your contribution to that, again, for the colored stamped concrete portion. As I mentioned before, I have a placeholder of 1.5 million for the downtown park to finish it in one phase rather than two. The South Main Street Island improvements, the committee and the DDA have looked at previously, and I put in 46,000. We have run into a hurdle here in that the railroad is objecting to what we had planned for that. It's a portion of in there right away, so we may have some modifications. I would like to just leave the money there in case we iron out our issues with the railroad, but it could be a hiccup to where we don't put any landscaping in and we don't put any electrical or lighting in unless we can work through their objections. Irrigation at 696, that's again something the DDA passed previously. Then I just got electrical and some other items in there, a placeholder for Façade program. And then in the promotions committee, I have basically carried forward things that you have under contract. The request from the Arts Commission. Sean suggested a number regarding our media buys and social media boosts. I bumped that slightly to 200,000. I did put a little bit of money in for pedicab in case that was a activity that the board wanted to get back in. It's been discussed. You don't have to decide that today. Again, it's a placeholder. And then I left another 100,000 for other potential sponsorships that may come that you want to support next year, fiscal year. Then continuing from there, you'll see the Small Business Assistance Program at $2 million. Scrooge at $15,000. And we did back up the start date for them. And then $79,200 for Siren. Continuing down, some training, some memberships, legal fees. Transfer to the general fund includes $730,000 for the bond assistance on the park, and I forget what the other portion is right now. That's not hitting my memory bank. And then the transfer to the public safety is for police services in the downtown at $540,000. The transfer to the auto parking system is the payment on the 2nd Street deck, the DDA's portion. And then miscellaneous expenditures, you may recall last year that we did a refund or a reimbursement to Trailhead LLC regarding the hotel site. I'm anticipating that you'll have another reimbursement to them this year of roughly $233,000. So you will see that with all those expenditures and line items, the expenditures are slightly over 11 million. That's why I stuck using 6.4 million use of the fund balance. Because if you go to the down below, I've estimated that we're going to have a fund balance at the end of this fiscal year, June 30th, of almost 7.3 million. That's what I have. There is a resolution if you're comfortable with it, with the budget as submitted. If you do want to modify something, then I would change that to approve it as modified.
Matt?
Yeah, one thing, Tim, on Scrooge, we have 30,000 yet budgeted for the rest of this fiscal year. And because we're backing them up, maybe we need to take like something out of that 30 and move it into the 15. I'm not sure how the numbers work out because I think we intend to keep using
I don't know that you need to do that today. You can amend this budget at any point in time.
Okay.
I would say let's just wait and see what happens after the first of the year because their contract's set up a certain way. And
no problem.
So.
No problem. The bottom line is that the money's there, whether it
right.
drops down to the fund balance and moves over, the money's there. Okay.
Right.
All right. Very cool.
So I was just going to say that I think this is a great placeholder for us. It's everything we've discussed, at least the things that I'm mostly involved with. And I was going to make a motion to approve this.
Support. Motion on the table. Director Krieger, seconded by Director Riley. Any other discussion or comments?
All I was going to say is if something happens, we can retroactively adjust this if the world changes yet again. So I think we have to just keep moving on it and we'll change if we need to.
And the positive is that we've got a balance. It's not what it once was, but we've got a balance. And, I would hazard to guess that our top line might increase a little bit as well. I mean, because some of the projects moved along in terms of construction.
Okay, good. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Tim, anything? I don't have the attachment for...
Under other business, Sean did attempt to do an addendum to the agreement with Scrooge. If you can open that item, he did adjust it to start May 1st, going through the end of November, or going through November 1st. If you wanted to approve that addendum, a simple resolution would be acceptable.
Can I ask Lindsay a question? Is that legal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Lindsay, do you think that we will need them before May 1st?
Videos?
Screw, yeah.
Well, do we have assets recorded already or would
yeah, I'm sorry, we do. We do. Well, wait, no, I apologize. We don't. If the contract doesn't start, we don't have the contract on the table.
So I don't know that legally with the stay home order, they can go take video right now.
Okay,
I think that we're
we're fine.
held back by that. However, I was gonna say, if there is imagery and video that's already in, on file, then, and they can start editing and turning it into stuff that, videos that can be sent out, that would work, but I don't know that they can go take additional imagery right now.
No, we're fine. For 2 weeks, we're fine.
Well, can I suggest that the term of the agreement shall be for 6 months, beginning May 1st of 2020, and/or when the executive order is lifted to allow them to begin their service.
Fair enough.
That way I don't have to bring it back again.
Yep, good call.
Okay, Jenny?
I was gonna say the executive order isn't getting lifted till April 30th, so I don't think we'd have to worry about that, but, Matt.
Well, except if she extends it, I don't want to come back and have to redo it.
So again,
Right. Matt,
yeah, that'll cover it.
yeah, the question I have is, I mean, I think the reason we have, put a contract together with them is to get more of this lifestyle video taking. I mean, maybe we can use them for other things, but if we're really not back to normal, say June, do we need them? I mean, I'm trying to understand what we would use them for even in May.
I totally understand the question. Some of the programs, the promotional programs that we're putting together, we're gonna need them for. We're gonna need them to get them out on social media. And they're especially a couple of the programs are right in their wheelhouse for them to promote. Okay, and again, you guys will have the programs to bless before anything's done. Okay?
Okay, I see Sean's hand. Sean?
Just want to add something really quickly. Yeah, I think adding that language that Tim suggested would be really helpful because it was actually my fear that the order gets extended and then I would have to draft up a second one of these and bring it back to you guys at the next DDA board meeting. Secondly, I think that even when the order gets lifted, I think the timing, we're going to have to kind of see how things develop here because I still see a lot of people who are not going to be really eager to get out and hit the streets the day the order is lifted. So I'd like to get some direction, either be from the executive director or the committees as to once they create this material, when would be a good time to actually put it out into circulation? Because those could be two different times.
Well, Sean, I mean, I'll address that. I mean, we had that in our discussions and what I said today that we desperately want to get everything in the can by May 15th. When we roll it out, there's going to be, who knows? I mean, we're going to have to take the temperature constantly and see when it makes sense so that we get the biggest bang for the buck. But I'll go back to what I said. We want to have it in the can so that we can get it going on a moment's notice. I mean, we want the production done ahead of time, obviously. We don't want to say, oh boy, now's the perfect time. Now we got to go to production.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion that includes the verbiage that Mr. Twing would like to have in. Could someone attempt that?
I'll move it.
Okay. Tim, are you, so you have that? I don't know. I don't have that document in front of me. Was there a suggested resolution?
You got the verbiage?
Yeah.
I'm good. It's basically, the motion is to approve the amendment to the agreement with Screw and modify the term to indicate that it'll begin May 1st of 2020 or at the point the executive order by the governor is lifted and allows them to proceed.
Okay. Are you good with that, Matt? You made the motion.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I'll second it.
So there's a motion on the table and there's a second by Director Krieger. Any further discussion regarding it? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Tim, anything else you want to bring to the DDA board?
Just two items I want to make you aware of. The county's program that Sean has talked about and Todd Fenton is kind of really coordinating for the city. They've created districts. I believe Royal Oak is in District 11, which includes Madison Heights, Huntington Woods, I forget who else. But they've allocated out of their money, they've allocated $202,000 for applications in that area roughly. And I know they're reviewing it and going through that. And Todd's the primary on the city's end, primarily because all businesses in town are eligible to apply for that, not just the downtown. Secondly, so you're aware of it, the city did receive through its block grant program some funds under the CARES Act, roughly $702,000. And we're going through that right now, trying to figure out what sort of program we want to use it for. It could be eligible to do things like a special testing center for COVID, or we potentially could add it to the business assistance and relief. But once we get the outline done for that, I'm planning on taking it to the city commission and asking the city commission how we want to use those funds. So I just want to bring that up so you're aware of it. And there's no action by the DDA on either one of those items. I just want to make you aware of them.
Good information.
Yeah, great information.
Okay. So Tim's all set. Does anybody else on the DDA board have anything they want to bring to the table before we end this meeting?
I have one thing, Sean and Lindsay, there's one little tweak we want to make on that release, okay? Sean, you know what we talked about beforehand, right?
Yep, I actually have already talked to Lindsay about it.
Okay, cool.
We did it.
Cool, we good.
Okay. Anybody else? I'm gonna go to Director Krieger.
Mute.
Let me see if I can unmute him.
There you go.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh.
Most important thing we said all day.
I have a motion to adjourn from Director Krieger.
Yeah, that's right. I just want to say thank you guys for bearing with us while we were working these things out, and for listening to everything that we had to say, and for approving stuff. And
Well, thank you for all the hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have a motion on the table. I need a second.
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 Second by Director Baglio. Any further discussion? I just want to say thank you to everybody for the time that you put in today and all the work that's been done. Very much appreciated. We needed to get this meeting done. It was very, very important. And I want to say thank you to all.
Mike, I'd like to thank Carol Swanger, the people in IT.
Absolutely.
And WROK for their time and effort. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Okay. That being said, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned.